Good morning, still morning. Yeah, so I'm Will Michael. This is a very straightforward panelist session. Jesse, it was good session just now. I really like the topic. Thanks. Uh, yeah, so we're gonna talk about smart and construction. So with me, I have two great guy who have a vast of experience about health and safety and also about technology. So to introduce, so I have Professor Yang Mengo on my left. So he's an associate professor at the National University of Singapore. Prof. Go's research focuses on construction safety, human factors, and integration of smart technologies for proactive safety management. He is recognized globally for his work on predictive safety analytics. So on the other hand, I have also Amrik Ali, QHSC manager for Bachi Solante, Singapore. He brings hands-on experience on managing safety in complex, high-rise, and underground construction environments. He's very passionate about embedding digital tools and data-driven approach to improve site performance and also workers' engagement. So we will have 3 to 4 teams we're gonna discuss. And before we did this, those who have provided your input in LinkedIn, I thank you for that. And your input, what we have done, we have changed some of the topics just to suit the audience. And I hope it will be a meaningful session today. So I'll start with Professor Young.
Yep.
So, Prof, in terms of smart construction, right? So, at least in Singapore or across Asia Pacific, how this is generally being defined?
Well, smart construction nowadays, there's a lot of different technologies being used. You have drones, you have AI embedded into videos, IoTs, different wearables. The range is pretty wide. So it's use of technology in construction. Yeah.
And from your experience, right? So, what is the main driver that pushing the adoption of digital tool? What do you think is the main pusher?
Well, I'm more familiar with the local scene as a whole. I think, frankly, the Building and Construction Authority have been pushing for the use of technology. Ministry of Manpower, as highlighted in the morning, is also pushing for this. So, I think that's one of the key drivers. In Singapore, the government presence is extremely strong here. So they provided schemes and funding and different regulations and rules to really promote the use of technology in construction. Yeah, that's one of the key drivers.
Right, thanks. So Ali, we talk about the types of technologies, and what I want to understand a little bit, maybe you can share to the audience here, where we are seeing the biggest impact so far, whether it's on the design, site management, or even employee safety monitoring.
Hi guys. So yeah, I'm Rick. I think that in the past 3 years, AI has kind of integrated a lot. I really hope you guys use it more. I think the easiest thing that was to enter would have been with inspections and how we do our audits and documentation. So that's the first thing that we started to use it with. Not we. When I say we, I'm talking about collectively in Singapore. So that would have been the first key integration, and then now you see it kind of getting into other aspects with how we use our applications, how we do your inspections as well. So it's slowly permeating at various levels.
Thanks. So, Prof, when we going into the action piece of AI and also the smart construction, could you share some insight from your research into either digital twins or predictive analytical in safety management?
Okay, from the academic world, there's a lot of research and it has been ongoing for a long time before the industry have been adopting it more widely. So in terms of the different technologies, I think in terms of from the safety and health or health and safety point of view, I think some of those that are really promising, I think the basic users are actually predictive analytics, because data-driven approaches, I think, is something more fundamental. If you look at the wide range of technologies like digital twin, video analytics, large language models, the range is very wide nowadays. But I think data-driven approaches is something that health and safety professionals have been trying to adopt for a long time. And using more advanced analytics actually helps to improve that fundamental. And that helps us to identify where are the hotspots, where are the high-risk areas, and so that we can allocate our resources better. So personally, I think that is one of the first things that we should focus on. And the other aspect, of course, which is related, is the use of large language models in handling and producing materials for training, for briefing. I think these are some of the more practical usage of technologies. There are many other more advanced things, but probably still in the research realm. And accuracy-wise, there are still a lot of challenges in terms of using video analytics, depending on the situation. But in construction, because of the lighting issue, occlusion, and changes in the scene, so accuracy is still a big challenge in terms of video analytics. But nevertheless, I think that's an area that we should still continue to push on. Yep.
Thanks. So Amrik, I think this can go to both of you. I'll start with Amrik. Just for the benefit of all of us here, is there any existing digital tool or smart system that you have implemented and somewhere that you have concluded the research and that you think that will change the technology, whether it's big or small, especially for those who in Singapore or Asia Pacific?
Okay, wait. You said the word concluded the research. We're never gonna conclude the research in a very long time. But it's just to tag on that. I think the easiest one that a lot of sites, I'm not sure where most of you are from, but when we do bigger projects with clients like LTA, PUB, they use the AI systems to, what I mentioned earlier, pick up the unsafe acts and situations. So that has kind of evolved. Actually, like what Prof said, we do have got a lot more to learn. The machine itself has to learn, and we also have to kind of learn to adopt with that. But what I also think a very simple thing that I have done with ourselves is actually using Gemini to analyze our toolbox meetings. I think that is something that has kind of improved so much more in just a short span of a year. We leave the guys to run the sites, but we have no idea what they are talking and what they are speaking. So we use that to do kind of a deep dive analysis. And then you kind of have keywords that they talk about and they share. And I think in terms of evolution, that is one of the biggest things. And it's not a custom GPT. It's not something that's done off the cuff. It's not something that spends money. It cost me $30 a month to subscribe, and it's Gemini. It's open source. You just go in, you just download your videos, and upload your videos, and within 30 seconds, it gives you a complete summary, which a human would definitely miss. So that would be something that you can look into. And then with that, maybe I can just, one more point to cover is that we moved into how we monitor meetings and plannings as well. And that's the next step now that we're doing it with. Yeah.
And just comment on, I was one of those that visited Amrik's site, and we were very impressed by his use of AI in his day-to-day safety-related activities. I think that is a very practical use of technology. Yeah.
And for NUS as a whole, is there any digital or smart system that you can share for us that you find it is working well and there's a lot of potential?
Okay, from NUS point of view, we actually work with some industry partners. I think that's why I was talking about predictive analytics. So what we do is that we collected the data. It's a very large organization with plenty of data, and they wanted to assess their subcontractors, not so much of the main con, but more of the subcon, because there are a wide range of subcontractors. So we actually collected all their data, and what they wanted us to do with their data is that help them to define the weightage of for the different types of data that are coming in. For example, their safety inspection data, their consult audit results, there are other data that they have in terms of the type of work they are doing. So there are a range of data characterizing all these subcontractors, but they're not sure which of these is more important in terms of assessing the subcontractor. So what we did is that we helped them to determine the weightage of in terms of their scoring system, and that gives them a way to monitor their subcontractors. Because what we do is that we link all this as input data and try to find the association or the predictiveness of all these different streams of data coming in terms of things like unsafe conditions being spotted on site, number of accidents. Those are the dependent variables. So try to find a relationship and see which of these features or variables are more important and help them to assign the weights. I think this activities like this, research activities like this are quite practical. So instead of just saying, okay, we give 50% weightage on the safety inspection that I've done, and then 20% on the type of work in terms of how high risk the type of work is, etc. Right? So they decided on the weightage in a very intuitive and expert-related manner, expert opinion approach, which is usable. But what we did with them is to use a data-driven approach to give them a basis and to support their judgment. Yeah, that's one area that I think that is pretty useful.
Yeah. So when we talk about all this information and data, right? I have done something similar as well, and I find it the most interesting, or I can say as a challenge now. We have so much of data available everywhere, right? Your inspection, your attendance, your health records. And what happened when we want to create a predictive analysis? One of the common challenge I felt, or maybe you guys shared a similar challenge, is the accuracy of the data. Like, it's not about the number. Sometimes it's like how accurate the data is. So I've been approached many times by some of my stakeholders. They will just give me, okay, I have this 1,000 data. Can you predict what is next? I'm not David Copperfield, guys. So, and the point here is there are so many challenges, right, that we face while doing this predictive analysis. And can you guys share, like from your perspective, what are the key challenges you all face, and maybe some tips for us, like how we can avoid that? I'll start with Ali.
Maybe I just want to share something. So I just had my appraisal 2 weeks ago. I'm 42 years old, by the way. The weird thing is that apparently now I'm supposed to be looking at AI and technology on top of the day-to-day, which I'm very happy to do. 2 days, this yesterday and today, we have a company-wide event where we are engaging the emerging leaders of the company. What's very scary is that the 20 years old or 20 plus years old are not the ones who are coming out with the ideas. It's a 42-year-old guy who's telling them what to do. So that's a bit scary on that end. But in terms of what we do with the data, I would like to share a blind spot. So maybe, wait, I just have a hands up if you're all paying attention. Who has used AI to help you on a day-to-day when it comes to like safety? Okay, obviously. Yeah, you've done it. So yeah, my question to you is that it's how we use the data and what we do with the data. So very recently, we have a project in Ang Mo Kio. If you take the trains, you will see the big red silos. So that's our project. We've had 2 incidents that happened there. So unfortunately, so what we ended up doing is that we ran all the inspection records other than just a normal audit. So we kind of went extreme. You mentioned 1,000-ish, and we took 9 months of data. We dumped it in. Within like 20-30 seconds, it came with an analysis. And the 2 incidents we had was slip, trip, and fall, and falling from height. And the top 2 inspection findings was slip, trip, and fall, and falling from height. And it beats it by a margin. So it means that we've had like, if you look at, we've had like 11 to 13 categories. And out of the 11 to 13 categories, the most finding was like 20+% and 18 or 20-ish% was these 2. So we had the data, but we didn't analyze the data correctly to pick up. So we could have actually stopped 2 guys from getting injured. I mean, they're not seriously injured, but we could have actually looked at the data again. But that also being said, we need more people to learn and pick it up. It's not just something that you pick up by your it's something you should be picking up by yourself. It's not something your company should force you to be doing. So I think that passion has a little bit to play with learning and as well. Yeah,
that's right. And you're still young, emerging leader. That's why I should think. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Still young.
Okay, yeah. Just in terms of the project that I mentioned, actually the data processing part was a lot of work. Yeah, so the data cleaning is always a challenge. Actually, running the models, doing all this analysis is relatively straightforward as compared to the data cleaning. So in terms of what we have in terms of the data cleanliness, that is definitely a big challenge, as rightfully pointed out. So that's where at the beginning, right, when you are using your digital system to collect information about what is happening on site, I think that you need to ensure the quality of the data, and then I think that would then help you to produce some insights, either just looking at bar charts or running random forest analysis or doing some clustering. So all this, the fundamental is still the data quality. Yeah.
Right, thanks. So let's move for the third one, more about leadership and the roles. So I will share something, my personal experience. So I one of the few that was earlier to start on the AI and all this predictive analysis. And what happened one this day, my boss came in and she said, "Will, I know you're very good in technology, right? Can you do a cartoon about people and do safety video?" And I think that gave me a lot of thoughts. Like, first I thought it was a joke, but she was damn serious, and I was like, "Dude, I'm not a cartoonist. I can't do this." And perspection, what people thinks the role of HSC is starting to change. And I realized another topic that we should touch today for the benefit of all us. With all these emerging technologies, all the changes that is happening, what do you think the current role of HSC professionals looking like, and what do you also predict is gonna be for the next 3-5 years? Starting with Ali.
I'm not sure how. Okay, this is also a problem we have in the industry. We are very much doing what we do on an 8 to 5 or whatever your work hour is, and then after work hours you don't kind of absorb what's going on around the world, which is very scary, because the way everything is changing, we need to absorb more. Xpeng, if you guys follow what's happening in the outside industries, so Xpeng released a humanoid robot, I think it was a couple of days ago. A bit of controversy because the robot looked a little bit too female for the liking. But the whole idea was the fact that is where it's going to change. We don't want to risk people getting injured. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. It's literally, I would very much predict that within the next 10 years, we are going to slowly start introducing these tools to the workplace and to get them to start doing a lot of physical work. My concern as well is the actual younger and emerging leaders have to actually start picking things up, because the rate of change is super fast. They don't have enough causes for us to go and learn and pick up as well. So there has to be a lot of self-learning with regards to what we need to do to, of course, be aligned with the changes that's coming.
Yeah, I think for health and safety professionals, I think technology, the ability to learn, I think is really critical. I think the other aspect is really the ability to manage changes, because on the ground, when you're trying to introduce technology, it's not a smooth pathway, right? So you try technology A or vendor A, and then you realize that vendor B is better. So how do you deal with all these changes when introducing new technology? I think the ability to manage change in a very structured and systematic manner is critical. You cannot just follow the hype, and just run with everyone towards the cliff. So the use of technology, I think a lot of time you need to be clear-headed and not just adopt them for the sake of adopting technology. But to do that, I think that's where the health and safety professionals need to have the background, okay, to understand some of the basic technology, so as to work with the experts, the technological vendors that are coming in. How do you work with them when they show you a video analytics showing that, the boxes are drawn, but is it accurate, right? So how do you measure the F1 score? Okay, is it the precision, is it good enough? Is it a recall issue? So some of these basic ideas, you don't need to know how to calculate them, but some of the key indicators you need to know, so that you can converse with people dealing with the technology and assess them in a way that is smart, and you don't get fooled or smoked into using the technology. I think these are important aspects in terms of managing change, having sufficient background to deal with the experts. Yeah.
Okay, so just to follow up on this, right? So you guys spoke about how we going to manage ourselves and adapting to these changes. But how about our employees? How about our blue collars employees, our white collars employee, our management? So what are the strategy or what are the sharing you can give for us to influence them or to ensure they are also ready for this type of changes?
I think that we need to. It cannot be forced. I think that's very, very true. It needs to be something that you need to start training the team to get to pick up and learn. It's going to be there to stay. I think Steve Jobs is the one who said that if you want to get a job done fast, you find the laziest person to do it because he's going to find a shortcut to do it. Yeah. So the whole point of it is actually you need to pick up people within your own core team that you think are going to be looking into these things. One of the easiest things I can tell you is that you have various applications that, of course, it started with safety, is moving into quality. You can actually see the amount of time you are saving in terms of it. One of the things that we're now developing is actually WhatsApp. I believe all of us, especially if you are site-based or company-based, you have so many WhatsApp messages with so much of information that we're sharing on it. So we kind of launched a bot, not us doing it. We kind of gave two people who are very interested in the idea. So now what it does is summarizes all those messages, key information, and it dumps it in. But you cannot force it. He needs to be the guy who wants to do it, and he needs to pick up and learn. And then now there's going to be a bit of ROI January or February. He's going to train the rest of the team, which is his peers, how you use the technology as well. So then they will also look at it as, okay, it makes my job easier. Maybe I should embrace it rather I should fight it. Something like that.
I think the part of the role of health and safety professionals, as highlighted earlier, is really managing change. And part of the management of change is not just dealing with the vendors and the experts, and it's also the employees, the engineers, the managers who are supposed to really implement these technologies and new interventions. So I think to convince people to adopt the change is always difficult. We can always find 1,001 reasons not to change, right? So there are three areas that we need to tackle. Firstly is the rational mind, right? To tell them, oh, the cost and benefit, what are the good things that will come if you adopt. That's the rational part of things. And then you need to make sure that the environment is conducive to use that new technology, that it's not difficult for them to find it, it's easy for them to get this equipment. So the environment, the processes makes it conducive to use and make the change. And the last part is actually, which is something that's really important, is the emotional or the affective aspect, right? That they feel that, oh, doing this makes me feel like I'm part of the crowd. Okay, I feel that I'm ahead of times. I feel that I'm doing something good, and I feel that my image is being improved, right? Or they find a good reason that is so important that it ties to their heart, right? So there are three areas that we need to look into: the rational mind, the environment that's conducive, and also the affective or the emotional part of people. And you cannot just have one strategy, and there are different crowds that are dealing with, and you need different strategy to implement such changes. Yeah.
Right, thanks. I think when we discussed this and when we did our survey as well, one of the key points that was raised up, which is why I'm looking at Jesse now, is in Singapore, in terms of education and resource to learn this, is available. But sometimes our folks will not be able to know where to go directly. In fact, many of us, including myself, when I tried to get to a course, so-called from Skill Future, and I had to end up like going to 7-8 service provider to understand what this is really it. And maybe a recommendation for IOSH Singapore to to maybe have some one pager of what are the safety related classes and also knowledge that they can share. I'm also quite sure IOSH does that, but from local context, maybe something Jesse, as one of the senior representative for IOSH, can look at. Yeah. Coming back to our panel session. So like looking ahead, right? How excite you knowing what is coming up next, and what do you think have a lot of potential in the coming 5 years if you look from now?
I think the rate of change is very fast. So GPT came about 3 years ago. Now we can do so much more. In terms of that, we have so many other competitors that's coming in, which benefits us obviously. The other day, I was watching something from Perplexity that what they are launching, and then everything that comes with referencing. So every tool that keeps coming and emerging makes things a little bit easier and better for us. Maybe to kind of go back to the idea of the topic and the skills future thing, I think some parts of us, we can be lazy. I just type in ChatGPT, which is the courses I can go, and then that saves 60 to 70% of your time. But the problem is a lot of people do not know what to use it for. I can be very honest with you. My guys use it to send emails to me. Then I said, I don't need a GPT sending me an email. I need you to tell me what's happening. And at the same time, sometimes, they send emails. And 2 days ago, we got an action plan that was done by ChatGPT. Like the guy didn't even take away the things and edit the words and all that. But what is more interesting is that people are starting to adopt it. The only worry and challenge that's going to be there in the industry is that the rate of change is going to be fast. Also, I think since somehow or other we keep looking at JC or pointing to JC, but I believe the biggest challenge, and I think you can agree, is that you guys are coming with the technology tools to make the change, but the industry is very resistive to the change. We've tried exoskeletons and things like that to bring in. The guys are very afraid to try it. Yes, we have to like mollycoddle them. No, try, it's good for you. We even have research data that we try and use, but it's taking a very at least it kind of reaches a plateau to what we want to adopt. But that also being said, I'm pretty sure that there will be more early adopters to it, and then all we need is the early adopters to start pushing it, and then the rest will have to fall into place.
Stian?
I think in the next upcoming years, we will definitely see a lot more adoption of AI and robotics. I think all this are, in a way, very foreseeable already. So the question is, I think the side effects of all this, right? So there will be a lot of side effects, I'm sure. I think Mr. Chan Yu Kong, who is now with WSH Council as a senior consultant in a recent seminar, he was saying that he's concerned about AIDS, AIDS, AI dependent syndrome, not the usual AIDS that we talk about, but the AI dependent syndrome. So that is a real risk, a side effect that we do not want to see, that we are going to erode some of the core competency of our professionals. So how do we guard against that? How do we still train our professionals, health and safety professionals, our engineers, our managers, to have certain core competency and not over rely on AI? Because Charles Perrow in his book Normal Accident talk about any system that is tightly coupled and very complex will have accidents. That is normal accident theory. So if everyone is dependent on the same few, ChatGPT, Gemini, and all that, if one day is corrupted in some way, what is going to happen to the whole world? Right? So it's tightly coupled. Everyone is dependent on this few key AI. So if they become corrupted, the risk is extremely high. Right? So that is some of the things that I'm sure everyone is able to see such risks coming up. I think there'll be more activities in guarding against such risks also, and it's something that we all have to be careful about.
Yeah, and for this topic, one of the key takeaway I like to share is we spoke about email writing and sending information using AI, and Prof discussed about the potential risk that we can face if, let's say, AI fall. So as a HSE professionals, which I believe most of us are in this room, the one call for action will be like how we are going to manage our risk at workplace if, let's say, even risk assessment is done through AI, and how competent our own people will be managing that kind of risk. So that's for thoughts while you're having a coffee later. But let's move to the few more final questions. When we spoke a lot about AI and all these technologies, right? One key factor that we are facing a challenge globally is protecting our employees' data. All right, and in your current organization and in your thought process, how this is being managed now, and could you share what are the tips that you can give to us? If let's say we're going to introduce our technology, what are the key aspects we should look for? Start with Ali.
I think data privacy is always going to be an issue. But however, you just need to be very, very clear with what you share and the information you share. I know people who literally dump everything inside, and then even they start talking to AI about their personal problems as well. So, which is I don't know. It could be good. It could be something else. My wife has caught me talking to GPT sometime in the morning in the hall. She thinks, you make a joke about it, but it's how you use it and what is the information that you share. That being said, please don't go and start giving too much personal information as well. But I think the problem here is that there's not much training with regards to this particular element, because the change is so much, and then a lot of people are just dumping too much information. I'm very sure some companies have AI policies, some companies do not have AI policies. So that's where there is a challenge. Like for us, we have an internal AI system to review contracts, for us to see the risks when it comes to tendering for certain projects. So it has to be a very isolated system where things like money, value, whatever has to be there. I mean, if a competitor can get his hands on it, we are in trouble. So that is only that aspect, because it's very interlinked to money. That's the priority. The other part with safety is that we're sharing information like health data as well. So we have to be very, very mindful that, like what Prof say, if it suddenly goes away or it gets hacked, then we have a problem. So it's just something we need to assure our people about. But to be very honest, on the ground, no one questioned this. A few years ago, we had a PDPA. We're not supposed to give your IC and all that, but I still see so many people IC that's photocopied in the cupboard because the guy came for induction and his complete IC and address is there. So we're not as strict about it. It depends on the company's policies, but we need more people to learn about that as well.
I fully agree. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of knowledge behind data privacy and protection of personal information and data. I think in the university, of course, we are collecting data through our research. So there's a lot of tight control on all this. There's a lot of requirement on where we can store the data in terms of the data that we collected through research. And in terms of the use of large language model, we have our own internal platforms, so that when we are trying to use our large language model to help us with some research-related tasks or teaching-related tasks, we have to use such platforms, so that it reduces the risk of shadow employees. But I think it's still very difficult to control. A lot of employees might still prefer to have their own agent, so that the agent get to know their own personal style, and that's where I think some of these leakages would come in. So that's where the training, the audits, and monitoring and controlling, I think all these processes will become even more important. But I think the starting point is still on the training aspect, on what you can share and what you can't. There's basic knowledge that still need to be reinforced.
Thanks, Doctor. I think another call for action here, since we are in Singapore, I'm not sure you are aware, there are so many scamming going on, and most of the those folks who got scammed are those are the elderly, our elder senior citizen. So more than health and safety here, whenever we got the opportunity to share on what are the information that is useful for the people, I think this is something we should do, and I strongly encourage that we carry on this messaging and promoting how people are aware about data privacy, what are the information we should share, we should not, and we should extend that wherever we go. I've seen bad things happen when people got scammed. I personally handled 2 suicide cases, and I felt like, okay, if we are the HSE professionals, it's not only about occupational, and as a human being, this is something we should look at. All right. Okay, so that comes to the end of the panelists. Sorry, I went off script many times because I got passionate. But yeah, I'll just open up to the floor for any question and answer. I know we Singaporean, we don't like to ask, but this is the time you have two strongest guy I've known in AI, and also health and safety. So if any questions, any comment, please raise it up.
Oh yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. Yeah, my question is in safety. No, I'm also a safety professional, and most of the problem we are encountering is the human error. How about if the AI commit an error? Who is the accountable? If the AI commit an error, because in safety industry we are facing human error. How about the AI commit an error? Who will be the accountable?
So the question, if I understood correctly, how we can prevent AI error, because we have human error that cause accident, and how we can ensure that we can prevent an accident if, let's say, there is an error in AI, prevention of AI error.
Okay, I think for researchers, whenever we publish a paper, there's a lot of discussion about performance of the AI model. So there's something very fundamental. How do we test an AI? Right, it could be a machine learning model, a deep learning model, or whatever models that you're developing. So there are a lot of metrics, and there's a need to build a set of data that is a test set that is representative of the actual situation on the ground. And I think that process is important. How do you have a standardized way so that the accuracy is at an acceptable level by the industry? So that when it happens, at least whoever is supposed to have managed the AI in terms of its accuracy have performed its due diligence. So in future, instead of a worker human error, and then you discuss whether the worker has performed the due diligence or the company has performed the due diligence, the question should be whether the AI developers, the programmers, have they done their due diligence in developing this AI model, right? So of course, the organization also has certain duty of care to ensure that they check through what was the accuracy of this model. Did they test it on site? So that process of assessing need to be standardized. I think there's a lot of work that need to be done so that liabilities in a very unfortunate event of an accident or an incident, the liabilities can be dealt with in terms of apportion in a fair manner. Yep.
Yeah, if I may add to this, right? If I gonna put it in a layman term, like what I understand, so it is a time for us to have a risk assessment to even do an AI. I think that's the reality here. And when I meant risk assessment, it's about like we need to identify what are the issues that it can come out from using an AI, and how we're going to manage that in terms of controls. Like, for example, if I'm gonna do AI for specific tool, and the risk should comes like if I do a mistake, someone can get hurt. What type of injury? What type of consequences? And how am I going to prevent that? Am I going to the next 2 or 3 vendors to make sure that I'm getting through the good one, or am I doing a proper analysis and I'm making sure my team get the training because they need to be subject matter expert before even coming to this. And I think it's a process that we need to really think now. It's just not about going to chat GPT and type in and resolve it. I think what changes that this gentleman spoke about is going to have us to really think about how we're going to manage this in the right way so it does not impact both financially and also humanly.
Maybe
Yep.
you just before I just quickly don't let the AI do the risk assessment for you, then it doesn't make sense. But I think the point here is we are not as mature as I'm just referring to our industry, but the easiest tangent you can take from is let's say Teslas and the BYDs. They, as much as how many safety factors you have in place, you still hear of incidents and accidents. But also statistically, the incident and accident rates is lesser. But also like what Prof said, coming from more of an educational background and to look at it in that way, it's what information we feed it. Because if we give the wrong thing to the AI, it's just going to pick up the wrong things. So it's also with regards to risk mitigation and what we have in controls as well.
All right, we can take one more question.
Yeah, so it's not really a question, it's just on the back of that as well. I think as safety professionals, we also have a duty of care to make sure that we are checking the information that's coming out of the AI that we're putting in. I've seen so many policies, procedures, risk assessments that have been generated using AI, and it looks great on the surface, but maybe sometimes when you look at things, it might have legislation that isn't applicable to your country and things like that. So I think we have definitely a duty of care to make sure we are checking that stuff before it's going out into the public, third parties, wherever, because it is a good tool, but it can also be quite dangerous if you're not checking it. There is a complacency side of things where you just chuck stuff in and you're like, oh great, there's my policy or there's my procedure, but actually checking through, making sure it's fit for purpose is also a very, very vital part of using AI.
Yeah, very true, right? Remember last time, or even now, I'm not sure, we used to celebrate 1,000 million hours without accident. And there was a score to indicate that we have prevented an accident. But we should be looking beyond those numbers. And it's not about the hours that we save without accident, but how qualitative and HSE has been progressed. So for AI now, it's not only putting something nice on paper. I think we should need to understand like whether we really know what is this, and that is very important. I guess the whole section summarize, and one more. Oh yeah, Eden.
I'm hiding behind the lectern. Can we do we have any information on the kind of environmental impact and sustainability impact of making use of things like AI, ChatGPT, etc., that the panel can kind of highlight, please?
Well, I mean, what I know is really from the media. I'm not an expert in this, but what I read in the news today is that the data centers are drawing a lot of energy, right? And AI, a lot of the models, really large models they're looking at, they are really dependent on many of these data centers that's drawing a lot of energy. So essentially, there is a sustainability angle to it. There's plenty of research in this area, but all I can say is that there is a cost from a sustainability angle, definitely. And that should be part of the assessment when we are adopting such technologies. Yep.
Does it answer your question? Yeah. Sorry, you are hidden, so I can't see you. All right. Sorry. Oh, Jesse. You got 30 seconds, Jesse. Then.
Just a comment to Kelly's question. I think, yes, LLMs do use a lot of energy. I think the future is probably not going to be in LLMs, but SLMs, which are small language models, which are really contextualized to your operating environment and to your this thing, which will be considerably less in the energy use. Still early days, but LLMs may be great for us to play around with. But eventually, I think you'll have to use those contextualized SLMs, which are trained on your internal data, which really probably is not going to be as energy intensive as an LLM. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. I think it's more about green energy that is coming up, and data center is one of the culprits that we should look for. All right, just on time. So firstly, thank you so much. I thought want to summarize, but I think this is more productive than what I thought it would be. So thank you for your patience. I hope we share and you have learned something. I think I learned few things for the folks here. And not but least, thank you both of you for your time.
Thanks.
And yeah, let's enjoy the rest of the evening here and try to join as session as possible. Yeah, thank you.